Shut up and sit down. And sit down.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the 360 Sports Show. I'm Ada Pizzelli, he is Christian Lauber, and we are coming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We are going to get into the NBA Finals, some other NBA news from the NHL and their playoffs, and anything else you want to in the comment sections of any of the live streams. Hit us up there. Christian, let's get her rolling and discuss games 1 and 2 of the NBA Finals. The series between the Celtics and the Warriors is even at a game apiece, but what have we learned through 2 games now? A comeback win for the Celtics, kind of a game that was close and then became a blowout city for the Warriors. Have we learned anything through these 2 games?
Yeah, I don't feel great if I'm the Celtics, I'll be honest. Now, I mean, coming from me, what does that actually mean? Because I say that anyway. But the third quarter is a huge issue. I'll say that. I meant to do this before and I forgot, but the third quarter is a massive, massive issue. I don't even know what the Celtics scored, but I know it wasn't great. And
14.
The Warriors, yeah. So there you go. You had it. The Warriors, on the other hand, I think it's 68 points in combined games 1 and 2 third quarters. Yeah. And they blew doors in game 1, and then you had a lights out fourth quarter in game 1, which you have proven that you can do multiple times if you're the Celtics. You've done it throughout the whole postseason, where you have so many guys there that can get hot. It's just ridiculous. And Jaylen Brown was a catalyst for that whole thing, by the way. But and then game 2, the Warriors changed some things up, and they were it was a close game, I would say, for the majority of the first half, with the Warriors going on a little bit of a couple runs there. With those 2 exceptions, though, the third quarters have not been good, and you were a perfect fourth quarter. If you didn't have that fourth quarter that you did in game 1, you get blown out in 2 games here. So I don't really feel great about it. I think the Celtics need to adjust a bit here going into game 3. You're home. And here's the other reason why I don't feel good. With the exception of the Nets series throughout the postseason, the Celtics have come home and not played great. They've had some really sleepy efforts at home. So most years you'll say, wow, steal 1 in game 1. Now you're coming back here 1-1. I mean, it's ridiculous. You're in the driver's seat. Not the case for the Celtics team. They're really good on the road. They're mostly competitive on the road, and they have been throughout. And then they come home and they have an absolute dud or a couple duds. They've had multiple chances at home to either take a real stranglehold and they can't do it, or win a series, i.e. Miami, can't do it. So I know everybody wants to say, well, they're coming home, they got the crowd. That really hasn't proven to be much of anything for the Celtics team.
Does it matter that game 1 they won game 1 and then game 2 happened the way it happened? In terms of feeling that way, like if the Celtics had gotten blown out in game 1, came back and then had that comeback like they did in game 2, do you feel different about coming home? Is it because of like the order of operations? You know what I mean? In terms of perception and momentum and like
sure.
That Celtics win, like you said, huge to steal 1 on the road. And I thought game 1 was the stealable game, because the Warriors have been sitting, they've been resting. You're coming off a really gritty, grinding series. And the Warriors kind of looked a little bit tired, and I think the Celtics in game one just kept punching and punching and punching like the desperate team, and then they break through and have the fourth quarter, and the Warriors look a little shell-shocked, but hey, they've been there, done that. Post-game, all they could say was, we're not worried at all, it's one game, blah, 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 blah. And for the first half of game two, it's kind of like, this is kind of the same script. Like, are the Celtics going to pull away and, like, win this game too? And then you can't just say, oh, we've been here, done that. Now you're down 2-0. But then the Warriors blow doors. And the Celtics had a lot to do with that. Is there any momentum for Boston coming back? I know it's tied 1-1, but because it was game one that they won, do they lose that momentum coming back?
No, I think it's just completely. I don't know the way these series have gone, especially for the Celtics team. Look, I've watched some games sporadically, but I haven't paid attention to game by game, series by series for every single team in the league. But from a Celtics standpoint, it feels like, well, they lose game one in Miami, then win game two, then come back here and they're turning the ball over like they were in game two of Golden State. And when they turn the ball over like that, forget about it. They're screwed. The one thing that I thought maybe going into game two, obviously, the refs are going to push for Golden State. That's clear. This is what the NBA is. But I thought going into game two, you might have somewhat of the momentum just based on, well, I don't know, Golden State just got blown out in the fourth quarter. They couldn't stop anything. And they've been there. But then you push game to two. Tatum sucked in game one.
Yep. And
here he comes game two, and he's playing pretty good in the first half. I would say almost lights out, at least from beyond the arc. Jaylen Brown got, I don't know, Draymond kind of mucked up game two. And I think that played into the Warriors' advantage a bit. But I thought they might be better off in game two based on how game one ended.
Yeah.
But based on this Celtics team is very strange. It's not like your normal lose 2 on the road, win 2 at home, and then 1-1-1, and you either win or lose in the game 7. They're very road heavy so far in this postseason. So coming back home, I feel like they should carry momentum, even though they lost game 2, just because you have the crowd, you have the energy. But there's
no track record there of it. Yeah. So that makes game 3 must win for Boston. Do you feel then that whoever wins game 3 probably wins the series?
Yeah, I would say I trend that way. But again, you have to get 1 at home and then see where you're at. Because this is why I think this series could go 6 in favor of the Warriors, maybe because I think they might just be the better team. They're a good team. But also, on the flip side of it, it could go 7 just based on the Celtics get to game 7, and then who knows what happens in game 7.
Yeah.
Just the way these series have gone. But the Celtics need to adjust. I think the Warriors adjusted from 1 to 2, and I think the Celtics need to do the same from 2 to 3. It's going to be a game of adjustments because I think, and Ime already mentioned it earlier, hinted at a couple of those adjustments. But the turnovers were a huge problem, and one key part for the Warriors was Draymond obviously doing what he does, which was just absolutely abysmal to watch.
Not play basketball.
Yeah. And get all the calls.
Pancake block people.
And then the NBA comes on the air. Their head league official says, well, we're not going to give double technicals if a guy already has one. So that's good. We already knew, now we confirm that. But on the flip side of it, I think they made some adjustments, one of which was Klay Thompson guarding Al Horford and playing him more as he's going to stand on the 3-point line and shoot threes, guard him out there. And when he gets in the post, whack at the ball and take it away. And that's pretty much what they did. So there needs to be somewhat of an adjustment. And I think the Celtics bench players, Derek White, I think, has been very good. Grant Williams has been a nothing. And Pritchard was good in 1, not in 2. So they need to up their level because you got guys like Poole and even Bjelica came in and played pretty well in game 2. And they have a deep team over there, and I think you need a little more from your bench.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, like the adjustment thing. Like game 2, the Warriors were bringing the fight. They were getting up and into the Celtics, the Celtics were getting bothered by it. Now, the Celtics defensively for the first half were kind of doing what they did in game one, but there wasn't necessarily an intensity there. The Celtics, I think, felt like they were playing well and were trying to not kind of get down into the mud and let them get away from their game.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did just that. they started turning the ball over, and it led to complaining, and then Draymond started doing what he was doing, and then guys started getting into not the game. And the wheels just fell off defensively, offensively. And one of those adjustments, too, like you said, Al Horford. I love the guy. He's been lights out. Did not look at all the same. I don't know if that's because of, like, hey, they had the time off and, hey, rested Al for game one. Boom. Amazing. Looked a little tired for game two. Now, he didn't play. Most guys didn't play most of the fourth quarter because I don't even think Al's played a minute in the fourth quarter. But I'll tell you what, if he's being guarded by smaller guys, he's going to go up, man. I mean, there's time. I know they like to get in and kick out and get a three if it's open. But, like, dude, you got Steph Curry on you and you're 5 feet from the rim. Just go up. Yeah. And guys, like, they're doubling him. Like, he's too heavy with his right hand. Like, you're just kind of, like, going right into the guy sagging from the corner is just playing that right hand. He's going to go, like, throw the shoulder and then turn with the left hand. I mean, I got to watch now. Go back. Does Al Horford just not have a left-hand hook shot?
I mean, don't think so.
He's such a polished player. I mean, I just assume he does, but maybe he doesn't.
I think it's mainly, if you just ask me right off the jump, he's got a right jump hook. That's all I've seen.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like one of those little adjustments is like, if he's inside, like the Celtics need to use their size. They have the size advantage.
Well, they got out rebounded in game two, too, which is another problem.
Well, a lot of those, too. The problem is when guys are shooting it from 40 feet away, the rebounds are going to go way outside.
When they're missing shots.
So, the thing I take away, though, and we kind of agree on all the same points, but I look at it and say, I think it's more about the Celtics than it is the Warriors. I think the Warriors showed in game 1 and 2 exactly who they are. They can get really streaky and hot, like as a team. But then Steph can have a great first quarter, and then in a way, like down the stretch in game 1 in the fourth quarter, the Warriors stopped moving the ball. They just were like, "Hey, it's Steph's game. Like, give the ball to Steph." And he's 100%. And he's jacking up 35 footers because he can't get anywhere, and they're blitzing him and trapping him, and nobody else wants to shoot because we gotta let Steph take the shots in the fourth quarter. So they can kind of become a victim of their own success. Game 2, Poole, who had a bad game 1, he's hitting shots. Klay Thompson hit a couple of timely shots here or there. But, like, him, Thompson, and Wiggins, like, I was expecting way more. And I was thinking that the Celtics could get run off the floor, which they haven't. It's really just been Steph, honestly. And, yeah, Poole hits some crazy shots, but I think the Celtics are going to live with that because Poole, despite that, is still a minus. Like, they're not...
Yeah.
Defensively, he's not enough for them. So, like, I feel like the Warriors, obviously a very, very, very good team. But if the Celtics just don't turn the ball over, and if they just play smart offensively, like, intelligently offensively, they should win.
You just hit on a key guy on accident, too. Well, I mentioned the bench. Where it starts is Smart, Horford, and Rob Williams. I don't think they played much of a factor in game 2.
No.
Those guys need to be much more of a factor. And like Colin says in the comments, should Smart get into the dirt like Draymond to try to mentally right the ship, or is that not necessary for the season at this point? I don't think it's necessarily necessary, but I think Smart's physicality and intensity, sure, from game 1 to 2 was night and day. I think he was... I know a lot of, like, you read a lot about how, like, you know, all these trolls want to say, well, he got benched in game 1 basically because they were going on a huge run and he didn't like it maybe for coming into game 2. But Smart from game 1 to game 2 was a complete difference. And I don't think he necessarily needs to be running guys over and tackling guys and putting your shoe in.
Daniel Tice is for that. I said I needed Daniel Tice to clothesline somebody at the end of game 2. That's the guy.
I need Daniel Tice to do something. Let's start there.
But that's what I'm saying. You don't want any of your stars to get into the mud like that. Like, you need, like, Tice. Grant Williams. Grant Williams seems like the kind of guy who would, like, Kurt Rambis somebody. You know, Kevin McHale just give you the clothesline hook.
But I'm not even talking about that stuff necessarily. But Smart
No,
what
his
happened
his
to what
intensity.
happened to like I'm the defensive player of the year. I'm going to take you out of the game. I'm going to do this. Which I think he defends Steph really well. Their pick and roll defense less so. I mean, I think the guy whoever's playing off of Smart to catch the guy coming off the pick.
Oh, they
has not
gotta
been
step
good.
up way quicker.
Yeah,
You gotta step
especially
up
on him.
fast.
He's going to shoot it from 40 feet. But I
Yeah.
think Smart from game 1 to game 2 is key. I think does he need to like be Draymond and start like, diving on people, kicking people in the nuts and doing
No.
whatever else he's doing?
Pulling pants down?
Yeah, pulling your pants down and pantsing you and spanking your butt and doing all this weird crap. No, but does he need to be in someone's grill, basically defending someone in their shorts? Yeah, and being aggressive and have an intensity? Absolutely, because then
Yeah.
without the defensive side of the ball, and he's not making shots or contributing on the offensive side, what is Marcus Smart doing out there?
Yeah. And as a team, the Celtics cannot fall in love with the three. You cannot get into one of these three-for-alls with the Warriors. You will lose. Celtics had what? An 11-point lead at one point, I think, in the early second quarter.
Yep.
And there was like 5 possessions in a row. Now, granted, they moved the ball, but they were going for threes. They were trying to work it. They were like looking for another home run shot. Guess what? If on just 2 of those possessions you came down, because they were getting stops, and just like got a high efficient, like went to the rim, get fouled, make a layup. Like the points in the paint thing, the Celtics cannot lose points in the paint
Yeah, they got obliterated.
to a team that wants to shoot threes. You can't lose points in the paint to the degree they did. Now a lot of that was because of transition. You turn the ball over, the
19
ball's
turnovers, was it?
the ball's going right at the rim. And it was like 40-something points off turnovers. It was atrocious. So, and most of those came in the paint because they were in transition. So the Celtics, you have to not fall in love with, it's like Brad Stevens would say it all the time. Don't hit home runs, hit singles. That applies to when you have the lead just as much as when you're trailing, trying to just work your way back and chip away. Incrementally add to a lead. Don't say, oh, we're up 11. If I hit this step back 3, we're up 14. No, because that other team can barrage threes. There's no lead that is going to phase them. Just keep methodically executing. That's what the Celtics need to do.
The Warriors basically blew doors off turnovers. They scored 33 points on the 19 turnovers, the Celtics.
Ugh.
33 points off turnovers, and they were plus 16 in the paint, like you were just mentioning.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster if you're the Celtics.
Yeah.
That just cannot happen.
Colin also says, Celtics could publish a baking recipe book dedicated entirely to turnovers. Yeah. It was
100%. Yeah.
what they were cooking on Sunday, bad. So let's kind of look ahead to Game 3, and then we'll kind of play out how we think the rest of the series is going to go here, because we'll have, Games 3 and 4 in the books by the time we retake the air on Monday? Correctamundo? Right? I don't think we're going to get 3. I don't think we're going to get 3 games in the next 7
Yeah, we
days.
might, because there's only one day in between the games in Boston, I believe.
Let's see. Why guess when we
Wednesday,
can look?
Friday, Monday, probably.
Oh yeah, 9 p.m. So maybe we do another Tuesday show next week, so we can discuss Game 5, because
it might be over by then.
oh god, yeah, Celtics in 5, baby. I honestly was feeling if the Celtics won Game 2, I said they're gonna come back, they'll split in Boston, and then they'll go win Game 5 because they just love to win on the road. At this point, I'll tell you how I think it will go. So let's talk about Game 3. A lot of the stuff we've already kind of said here, but very simply, what do the Celtics need to do to win, and who does win Game 3?
They need to not turn the ball over. I mean, 13 turnovers in Game 1, I think if they get less than 15 turnovers, they're in good shape. There is a winning record somewhere in there. I don't know the exact stat. I couldn't find it. But under 15 turnovers for the Celtics team, really good results. Over that, terrible, as pretty much you should expect. The Celtics need to get back with what they did more in Game 1. And I think Tatum can be solid and not absolutely dreadful like he was in Game 1, and you'll be in good shape. But they need more from what I just mentioned. Marcus Smart obviously needs to give you a lot more than he did. And I think White's been good to kind of fill that role. But if the two of them are going, you're in good shape. They need to be much more aggressive on defense. You cannot let Steph just shoot from wherever he wants. He's going to make them 90% of the time. That's just what he does. And don't turn the ball over. That's the biggest key to any of these games throughout the postseason. If the Celtics don't turn the ball over, the game will be close. If they turn it over more than 16, 17 times and they're in the low 20s, look out. I mean, it's blowout city, especially against a team that's just going to, hit from half court or wherever they want. And also the key to game 3 for me as well, no Zach Zarba.
Yeah, officiating. Like I said, through 2 games, I'm not overly impressed with Wiggins or Thompson. So, I think those guys have played okay. I haven't seen them play great. If the Warriors want to win games easily, if one of those 2 guys steps up and has a monster game, the Warriors will win. Because right now it's mostly just Steph. So if you're the Celtics, just make things difficult for Steph and the whole team. Play up the intensity and the physicality. You don't need to get into the shenanigans like Draymond Green, but you can turn it into a physical series. I think that benefits the Celtics, given the series they've come through, is making the game more physical. But don't turn the ball over, as you said, because then you're giving up easy points. And offensively for Boston, smart shots, intelligent shots. We don't need a bunch of smart shots. We need intelligent shots, intelligent shot selection, and your big guys got to get some action inside. Cannot lose points in the paint like that. I need Al Horford. Where's the lefty hook? I need to see a lefty hook somewhere in there because they're overplaying your right hand like crazy. If Al Horford is in the paint and he's 5 feet from the rim, shoot it, put it up. Jalen, Jason, go into and through the contact of the rim. Those guys are ready to just hack away. Even Draymond, he hacks all the time. And they know most of the time it's not going to get called. But guess what? If you get hacked 15 times in a game and at least you're going up and going hard, you're going to get to the line. And maybe a guy fouls out because they call half of them. If you only go up hard like 5 times, you're not going to get many calls. So, aggressive offensively, intelligent offensively, and defensively, just try and bottle stuff up. Don't give him anything easy.
And maybe the third quarter is another key, but
there's like no answers for that. Like the answer for that is to do
out of the half awake.
Well, the answers for that is to just do the things we just rattled off, like because those are the things they were not doing at all in games 1 and 2.
The other thing I would like to see is instead of looking for contact and looking for a foul, go up strong to the basket and try to make the hoop. Because more often than not, you're not going to get a foul call.
That's what I'm saying.
Doesn't matter who you are, Tatum, Smart, Grant Williams, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If half the time you get a call, if you only go up hard to try and score like 5 times, that means you're only going to get like 2 or 3 calls. Whereas if you continually... Like, you'd think I wanted Tatum or Brown to see what Jimmy Butler did. And Tatum a little bit in the third quarter was trying to, buoy the ship by doing that. He went, 3 possessions in a row right at the rim, and he got to the line. And it's great. It slows the game down. You get easy points. A foul and free throws is somewhat, deflating to a defense. And it can... Then you can get to set your defense as well.
You want to talk about Al Horford's mismatches?
Wanted to see more of that.
How about Tatum mismatches? If
exactly.
Jason Tatum has Steph Curry or Jordan Poole on him, which he did a bunch of times, just go right at them. Do not pass. I know you want to pass the ball to make the right play, and sometimes it is a good play. Go right at those guys. Yeah,
no, totally agree. 100% agree. You have size advantages like that. You have to take advantage. So I think the Warriors win Game 3. Celtics win Game 4. And then they're going to lose Games 5 in Golden State. And then the Celtics will come home and finally play a good game at home. I think this series now is going 7. If the Celtics win tomorrow, it bodes really well for them to maybe get the series over in 6. But if the Celtics lose tomorrow, I think this thing goes 7 because the Celtics just have been so good on the road, and then their backs are against the wall again, and it just is where they like to play. It's where they play their best. But I really do feel the winner of Game 3 is probably winning this series. If it's the Warriors who win tomorrow, the series will go 7. If the Celtics win tomorrow, it could be over sooner than that. Because then you'd have a Game 4 up 2-1. Who knows how the rest of it goes. But the winner tomorrow, I think, has the biggest chance and odds of winning. I know it's still another home game for the Celtics in Game 4, but I really feel like tomorrow is going to be the barometer for who wins this series.
Yeah, you pretty much said exactly what I was going to say. I think the Warriors probably win Game 3, and then I would put Game 4 as a toss-up. I still think the Warriors probably win in 6.
Yeah. But we'll see. I mean, what we've learned is that the Celtics look like when they play right, they're more than able to hang. Like, they're not getting phased by the other team, like by the Warriors hitting these crazy shots. The problem is that they were turning it over and letting them make crazy shots one after another. Yeah. And you fall behind by 20, it doesn't matter how not phased you are, you're down 20. That's the biggest thing playing any team. You can't let, like, a 10-0 run is going to happen with the Warriors. Don't let a 10-0 run become a 24-2 run. And that's what happened in Game 2. So if the Celtics can avoid that, all these games should be close. I'm going to stick with Celtics in 7. Hopefully this series is not over by the time we take to the airwaves next week. But alas, we don't know. We will find out in the coming days. One other bit of NBA news that I wanted to discuss before we transitioned. Quinn Snyder stepping down as the head coach of the Utah Jazz. Evidently catching the players off guard. Donovan Mitchell is shook and doesn't know what to feel. What is going on? And you'd think if like the players wanted him out, it would be like, hey, he resigns, and the players would kind of be like, oh, he was a great coach, blah blah blah, like looking forward to whatever comes next. You wouldn't be like Jason Tatum when Brad Stevens got elevated upstairs. Tatum and Brown, nobody on the Celtics was like, we're shook. What is happening? Like, that doesn't happen. Like, when teams lose a head coach, if they wanted the guy out, they're pretty much they stay the party line. This seems like maybe it was an ownership thing and they offered to let him walk away instead of be fired. But that league's not afraid of firing people. Like, I don't know. It's very bizarre. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, no idea either. It's very strange, and I think that guy's obviously Snyder will be lined up for a coaching job elsewhere. I would imagine pretty quickly if he's interested. Who knows? Maybe it's a partly personal decision, but there weren't really any rumblings of it, which is kind of strange for the NBA. But there is something going on there in terms of Mitchell and Gobert, now ownership, and letting Snyder go. So there's a very strange situation happening in Utah overall.
Yeah. He had a press conference where he said that it was his decision, but it was very vague. Like, he kind of gave this, like, that he thinks that it's weird. It's like, we talked about Brad Stevens stepping away and accepting that role. Did he get fired, but they had to pay him, so they moved him upstairs? And he himself said, he talked about sometimes you need a new voice and blah, 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 blah. And, hey, Brad, instead of getting fired, like, we said it. And, hey, honestly, guess what? We were kind of right on this. At least I was kind of right. You weren't sure how to feel. But we both agreed that maybe Brad is the perfect guy short term to pick the right players and the right coach for this team. Because he knows what the message needs to be, and that they're not listening to it from him. So who's better to deliver the message for that group of players? This is kind of like what Snyder says. Snyder said that his decision simply came down to believing the team's players need a new voice to continue to evolve. And then they asked him to elaborate on that, and he said, I think as I tried to say in my statement, which was a challenge to try to capture a lot of what went into making a decision, it was just time. I tried to give a voice to that, and it really isn't any more complicated than that as far as trying to look into a lot of different reasons and things like that. I just felt like I got to a place where it was time.
Things over there. basically.
A lot of nothing. That's like 50 words with nothing said. He actually continued to try to be introspective and analyze and all those things, and I just got back to the same place. It was time for the Jazz to move forward, time for me to move forward. It just made the most sense to me. As much as I try to articulate that, it's not something that's easily done. Is this a case of the ownership didn't want to fire him, the players liked him, but it's the very rare instance in the NBA where an NBA coach, who obviously those are prestigious positions, maybe he doesn't like the players.
Possible, sure.
Maybe
yeah.
he's like, you know what? I am sick of dealing with these babies and these guys, and just was burnt out and just didn't want to do it anymore. That's a huge indictment on everyone on that team.
Maybe he just didn't. Maybe there's too much drama or baggage in that locker room. Maybe he doesn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's been stuff. I mean, we know, obviously, it's like eons ago. You feel like there's a million miles of water under the bridge, but like Gobert and Mitchell, like with at the very beginning of COVID and all that stuff, like that wasn't good. Like in Ingles, like that team had some issues. And there's been all the rumblings of how they can fit, and like Rudy Gobert is like a max contract guy, and obviously he isn't performing as a max contract guy. Like, what do we think happens now to that Jazz team? They're gonna find a new head coach. I don't know who. Evidently, there's a Celtics assistant who is like gonna be a candidate for that. But like, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel at this point now. In this, where you are in the process. If you're Utah, I feel like they're heading towards blow up city, right? Or like at least guys like unless they get a knock it out of the park higher, which I don't know who it would be right now, all those guys are going to want out, like especially Mitchell.
Yeah, they're going to be retooling that roster. Absolutely no doubt about it. They have to.
That's it.
That's all I got.
End of thought. Okay. All right. To transition to some other sports news and thoughts, and we'll.
How's that for a hot take?
Hot take, Christian here. Well, speaking of hot, it's time for hot and not.
It's time for hot.
Hot.
You want to talk about hot?
Hot.
Please stop doing that.
Doing what?
Continue. Go ahead.
And not.
God, is he a moron? Oh my God, he doesn't shut up.
It's so stupid.
Stupid decisions.
Dum-dums. The naughtiest knot of the year.
Oof. Suck fest. Suck sauce.
On the 360 Sports Show.
All right, Christian. Hot and not, the up, the down, the good, the bad, pluses and minuses. I think you already stole my hot thunder, but I will let you lead it off.
technically stole mine, but I'll let myself have it. Yeah, we both have the same one, and I think, if memory serves, I sat here pretty much 1 year ago to date and had the same hot for the same reason, which is Rafael Nadal winning the French Open again for the 14th time.
14-0.
Ridiculous. And he went through Djokovic, I believe in the quarters, and then won in 4 sets in the final. I think it was 4, maybe 3. But the guy is just ridiculous. Also, he couldn't feel anything in his foot. He's been having foot issues for a while. So put Rafa on clay, and it is game over. There is no sense in playing the match anymore. It should now be called the Rafael Nadal Open.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit on it there. I memean, it's his 22nd Grand Slam title. That puts him 2 Slam wins ahead of Djokovic and Federer. 14-0 at the French Open. As you said, like he's just unreal there. I mean, that's where he burst onto the scene. What, like 05?
Yeah.
And then, people said, oh, he's just a clay guy. Because there's been, guys who are just good on clay. He's not. He's very good, if not great, if not elite, pretty much anywhere he plays. He has a chance. I mean, if his foot holds up, who knows? I mean, he could win all the Slam titles this year the way he's playing if his foot holds up. This has sparked this discussion. Is he the greatest of all time? Do you think that that's warranted? And, is the discussion warranted? And then should that be a quick no? and put the discussion away. How do you feel about the chatter now about Nadal being called potentially the greatest of all time?
It's a really, really interesting topic because I think you have guys like Federer, you have obviously Djokovic is very good. Sampras, like he's in the conversation. I don't know if I put him one, but I will say he is the greatest of all time on clay, and it's not even
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's even in the same universe as him on clay. The other part of it, the GOAT conversation, everybody wants to go right to the GOAT. Who's the GOAT?
Bah.
I don't know. He's in the conversation for sure. I think he's probably one of 2 or 3 guys. I think they're all in that conversation.
Yeah. I think the conversation, like you said, go on clay. I think the conversation can be had. You can start a dialogue. We can start a discussion.
Mhm.
Until his career is over. You can't just settle it. Now I know it's like you can't take away things guys did. You know, if he goes on to like lose 3 more French Opens and he's 14-3,
Please.
like I don't take that. I don't detract that for any guy in any sport, individual or team, like continuing to get to championship level play, and whether he wins and loses after somebody's won this much. But the discussion can be had. I'm not ready to like just say proclaim that he is the greatest of all time just yet.
I mean, 22 slams is for someone like me who I put
Just
a
because
lot
Djokovic isn't done yet either. Like it's.
Oh, I know, but I'm
know?
just saying, like, I put a lot of stock into the championships, Grand Slams, whatever, PGA Tour championships. He's in the conversation. He has to be.
Yes.
It's him, Federer, Djokovic, and it was Sampras at one point. He has since been just absolutely wiped away by these 3 guys. It's
I
just
know.
insane what the 3 of them have done.
Yeah. So the discussion can be had. On to the knots. And I will start because I know your knot, Christian, will lead us into a much deeper discussion. I'm going to discuss, take your pick. Deshaun Watson or the Cleveland Browns? Who is worse in this situation? The 24th lawsuit filed against Deshaun Watson this week for sexual harassment, misconduct, whatever label you want to put on it. We don't have to go down the whole rabbit hole of his situation and like what's real, what's not, or is this just blood in the water and everybody's just trying to get to the feeding frenzy? Regardless, there's just so much happening to the point where now the Browns are thinking about voiding the contract that they gave him. Who looks worse in the situation, Deshaun or Cleveland? I don't know. Either way, it's a knot.
Yeah, and you probably read this too. He booked massages with 66 different women over a 17-month span. Here's the thing. If you ask me A, B, who is worse, I would write in C and say all of the above. I think all parties are guilty here. But I honestly kind of lean Browns because how are you going to avoid a contract that you just willingly gave a guy that you knew all this was out there in the open?
Exactly. Yeah, the Browns for stupidity reasons.
Yeah.
Are the more not.
Watson was in there before, so I can't really. Nobody's going to take his crown right now. I mean, he's just like, it's just stupid and it's like Dumb and Dumber. I guess is that copyright? Can I say that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Dumb and Dumber. That's what I'll put a label on it.
Yeah.
Browns, Watson, Dumb, Dumber.
No, dumberer and the dumbest.
Stupid and stupider.
Stupid and stupider.
Because I like Dumb and Dumber. That's a quality movie. If we did a top 5 movies right now, that would be in it.
Just top 5 movies of all time?
Nah, just top 5.
We'd have to draft that. I know we
Yeah,
probably
we'd have
have different tastes, but we would there might be some overlap where we'd have to like draft a top 10. That's what we would do.
There you go. But it's in there somewhere.
We could easily fill out top 10 movies.
The Browns and the Watson category here, stupid and stupider.
See, now Rocky would be in my top 10 movies of all time.
I knew you'd take the bait on this. As soon as I said top 5, I knew you'd go right to it.
It's not in my top 5 sports movies of all time, but it would be in my top 10 movies of all time. Anywho, that'll stir the pot. Now the comment section is going to explode.
Yeah, here we go.
Because anytime we get onto a non-sports topic. Anywho.
5 spicy chicken nuggets. Go, chat.
Hey, I live near. So for those of you who maybe have noticed, Pez, the background looks a little different.
Unknown.
I'm in the new home.
In New Hampshire.
The move is complete.
Out in the woods.
I am out in the country. No more ocean right out my window. But now I have birds and critters, and maybe here in a little bit, if we stay on late enough, we might hear a coyote or two.
Nice.
So the sounds of nature. So the studio will be in a constant state of evolution. Obviously, right now we just have a empty bookshelf. The sports paraphernalia will get up onto the walls eventually.
Quality.
For now, we just got the big three for a little Celtics luck. But anyway, moving along, Christian. Give me your knot, and then we're gonna have the long discussion about it.
Yes. This broke, I want to say, at a random time. Must have been yesterday or the day before. I can't even remember.
I think it was yesterday.
I want to say it was yesterday night. But either way, the Bruins are very good at... See, this is why I can't remember. The Bruins are very good at dumping crap news at night. Like, they just fired their head coach instead of Don Sweeney, who has screwed up the whole thing. But, yeah, that's my knot. Bruce Cassidy fired as head coach of the Boston Bruins. Don Sweeney, Cam Neely, all good to go. They're staying where they are as GM and whatever Cam Neely does. I just think this is the most bogus
president
thing ever.
of eating snacks in a press box operations.
Yeah, and throwing water bottles. I think this is ludicrous, in my opinion. I don't mind that, and not the rapper. All respect to him, but and actor. But I will say that absolutely a colossal mistake here by the Bruins. Can't blame ownership. They're not even in the picture. They don't even know what's going on. But Cam Neely, Don Sweeney, they played together. They're buddies. So, you can't fire your buddy. But those two guys have clearly kind of teamed up and scapegoated Bruce Cassidy, which if you look at the talent on the ice, it's not a coaching problem. Here's where I stand on this. If you wanted to get rid of Cassidy, sure. You want a new voice? Absolutely fine. You need a new GM too with that. The GM picks the coach and you're off and running. Not fire the coach, basically dump everything on his shoulders. He was the problem. He's not very good with the young guys. The
young guys who suck.
Our prospects haven't really gotten enough of a chance, and he's kind of like benched them. Here's what I would like to say to Don Sweeney.
Because they suck.
Sweeney has drafted nothing but crap for the last 5 years, and maybe 7 years. Yeah, but in the last 5, I don't think they have a player in the last 5. I think I heard this today, right? And I think I heard it right. If I didn't, whatever. I don't care. I'm going to say it anyway because it helps me. It helps my narrative. But in the last 5 years, I don't have a player drafted by the team in the NHL. Since 2017. It's either 2017 or 2019. I don't remember. But
let's look.
It's time after time you see what the talent level is on the ice, whether it's Providence, guys like Stanika or Senyshyn or Zaboral, or you name a guy that he's drafted, not good enough.
Ready? Let's play this game. Let's go back in time. So we'll do last year. We'll run through these names. Fabian Lysell, Brett Harrison, Phillips Svedebak, I guess. Oscar Jelvik, Ryan Mast, Andre Gasso, Ty Gallagher. Nope.
Just do rounds 1 to 3 because the rest are whatever.
Gotcha.
Like, that's basically just all luck past the third round.
Fine. So 2020, Mason Lore, Trevor Kuntar. No.
Are either of them in the NHL?
John Beecher, Quinn Olson. No. Axel Anderson and Jakob Luko. Euro Vakanainen, Jack Studnicka, Jeremy Swayman was round 4. So 2017. So there you go. You got a guy who's on your team and plays in the NHL.
Any guy not named McAvoy or Swayman on that list has not made any type of impact on the NHL team.
Yeah. I mean, you
But
talked about it.
it's-
Like,
but it's a coaching
Zaboral,
problem, right?
DeBrusk, Senyshyn, that draft. I mean, you got Carlo. But then, like, even then, you had all those second-round picks. Forsbacka, Carlson, Lausanne. Like, guys that are... You're not...
And now
you're-
just because it's
you're not-
pissed me off so
you're not
much,
winning.
just because it's pissed me off so much, we can just look at 2015, and I'll look at that. On paper, you can look at 12 guys that could have been drafted after DeBrusk, Zaboral, and Senyshyn. And at the time, all the league scouts and everybody was like, what the hell are the Bruins doing? It's not a coaching issue. I'm sorry. You think because they got a new voice in there now, I mean, look, the team is going to be in disarray anyway because of all the injuries and stuff, and Bergeron leaving potentially. But it's not a coaching problem. I'm sorry, it's just not. And for Sweeney, I wouldn't have an issue if it was Sweeney and Cassidy. We need to just kind of clean slate there. Let's get 2 new guys in and see what we have. It's way worse when Cam Neely and the guy he played with, his buddy Don Sweeney, are just sitting up there at level 9, wherever the hell they are, throwing water bottles and watching the games, while Cassidy is actually trying to coach the bunch of crap that they put on the ice with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I can
Give him
tell you.
enough talent.
I can tell you here. Since 2017, Swayman, Studnicka, Vakanainen all have gotten NHL time.
How much time?
2018 till now. Want to know the total number of NHL games played, whether with the Bruins or not, between all of their draft picks?
I'd guess it's probably take Swayman out of it. I guess it's probably
No, after 2017. Swayman was drafted in
Okay.
20. So the 2018, 19, 20, and 21 draft.
I'm gonna guess 0.
0! A fat goose egg. 0 impact players. I mean, who knows what
Liesel is. but
Liesel is.
Laurie and Liesel are the guys. But you drafted John Beecher, who's a projected probably now 3rd or 4th line center. Like, what are we drafting for?
Yeah.
And now everybody's trying to trade Pasternak today. This can get into a bigger conversation. It's, Fluto Shinzawa, I believe he's with the Globe, is reporting that they might be interested in trading Pasternak because he's not going to sign here for, take a hometown discount. And why would he at this point? What's around him?
Hometown discount?
Hometown discount. And why would he?
Hometown
when
discount.
you don't even know what's around you at this point, and this team's not going anywhere fast. It's not like they're in the cup conversation. Are the Bruins
No.
going to pay him $10 million? So if you want to trade David Pasternak for picks and stuff, I welcome this because I can't wait for the day he drafts, Jakob Flusenberg, popsicle boy from wherever, Sweden, and
We've got Wally's
guy-
Buttersworth,
guy that works
who
at the
Danny Ainge
popsicle
likes
stand
to
in
draft,
Sweden.
and now we've got what's his name now from Sweden?
Jakob Fludelsworth, I think is what I said.
Jakob Fludelsworth.
The popsicle
Popsicle
stand
boy.
owner from Sweden. This is so you're gonna take say the Bruins today traded Pasternak for the 4th overall pick or something, and then they drafted Jakob Fludelsworth from Sweden.
Fludelsborg.
Fludelsborg. Is he going to be a projected 4th line right winger? Because that's what you're looking at with Don Sweeney. But here we are, fire
Yeah.
the coach.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the notification, breaking, Boston Bruins fire, and I was like, oh, good, Sweeney's gone. Awesome. And then I open it, and it's like Bruce Cassidy. I'm like, "Pfft,
They don't get it.
what? And then I was like, oh, okay. Give it a half hour. Sweeney will be gone too. Nope. I said this, I think it was as coming into the trade deadline in 2020. I think I said this team right now, kind of where they are, should honestly just sell. Because if they try to buy and put pieces here and add to a kind of an team, you're just making it way worse on the back end. Whereas if you had bitten the bullet and done the hard thing and just said, you know what, maybe we trade Krejci to a team that's a real contender and will give us a prospect.
The one problem is the one problem with your logic on selling. Well, technically they did sell. They got Fabian Lysell in the draft. But if you sell off all these pieces, they clearly cannot identify talent.
And
they
this
can't
is what I'm
develop
saying.
the talent.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
you're
It's
just
like
going to the bottom of the league, which the ownership group, for all their non-existent, they're not here. They don't know what's going on. They're not going to go to the bottom of the league. If they get one playoff game, that's worth it for them.
Well, what I'm saying is like they could have avoided having to go to the bottom of the league by not just so like desperately holding on to this idea of like we can win a Stanley Cup. You have to know when your team actually can and when they actually can't. Now, a coach is always going to say, my team's got a shot, and I believe in our guys. Management's job is to say, no, I don't think we do this year, and I'm going to make the moves that will put this team continually in the best position to succeed. They have not done that. And even some of the guys that they've swung for, they've missed. I mean, you went out and, you've got guys that, like, helped you for a playoff run. Great. And then they gave you give a guy a long-term contract when he clearly shouldn't really get it. And they have so many, I mean, they are, again, stuck and bleeped now because you've got guys who maybe now probably won't want to be here, who are your best players, and nothing in the pipeline and a completely putrid GM. So I don't even know organizationally if they will make the playoffs next year. I think it's going to get real bad before it gets better. Because as you said, you got ownership that don't care. So
they're going to be in. They care about playoff games. They just don't care about cups. But the other part of it is like, for all my gripes with Sweeney and not being able to draft, then he goes out and signs guys like Backus, Rick Nash for a first-round pick, and he's trading all these first-round picks for nobody.
That's what I'm saying.
Then you have to trade David Backus and his crap contract and get rid of a first-round pick with him just to get rid of a contract. So he's screwed that up too. But here we are. We're firing the coach because the talent's not good enough. The drafts haven't been good enough. And then, the young guys don't like the coach, I guess. That's what it seems like. I don't understand.
Yeah. Dare I say, Christian, do the Bruins get put away? Or are they left on the table here until they pick a coach?
I think they're on the
they're sitting on the bench.
On the bench in front of the locker.
They're on the bench in front of the locker. The door is just ajar. It's waiting to beckon and suck them in. Like Kirby. Kirby is winding up to suck in the Boston Bruins here. Yes, I know. Someone will go and freeze frame that. I am well aware. It's happened. Luckily here, I don't think I've frozen yet.
The funniest part is
knock
it's probably
on all the wood with the
ironic
Fios now. That's the biggest thing here is Verizon Fios, baby.
That's true.
No more frozen frames of me like...
If you can just get out of the wind tunnel with that Go XLR, you're good. The funniest part about that is, the most ironic part is, the person that's going to take the screenshot is probably yourself.
Probably. Most likely. I'm totally self-deprecating. I don't care. Whatever gets us the clicks. Let's talk quickly about the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I almost thought it could have been a knot, in a sense, that the Colorado Oilers series, the Avs-Oilers series, did not go 7 games because just outside of Game 2, Games 1, 3, and 4 were just sick. I mean, just insane end-to-end back-and-forth action. The Oilers obviously blow Game 4. I mean, you're down 3-0. Series is probably over anyways against a really good Colorado team, but you blow a 3-1 lead, you trail, and then have to tie it, and you lose in overtime, back-breaking. Disappointing that we don't get to see more games in that series because I was hoping for a long series because it was exciting hockey.
Yeah, I was hoping for at least 6 games. Instead, we get a nice clean sweep and an absolute implosion by the Oilers last night. But you want to talk about two teams that have some talent. Both those teams have some great individual talent. One of the best plays of the playoffs so far is Cale Makar on Connor McDavid defensively. It was just ridiculous one-on-one. Not many people can stick with Connor McDavid one-on-one in the NHL. Never mind 3-on-1. as we've seen before. But I think the Avalanche are just better. I was hoping we'd get some more hockey out of it, but hey, here we are, sweep city, and then the other side, we're getting more hockey. So, but it should be an entertaining Cup final. I would think, no matter who comes through the East, I would rather see the Rangers. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. One last Bruins note. Nick does say in the comment section, Bruins hire Bergeron as head coach. Who says no? I do.
Yep. No.
That dude, if he's healthy, wants to play. And if he wants to retire, he's definitely not going to step into a box because he will be completely and utterly overwhelmed. That would be a worst case scenario, epic failure. It does not work. You need to get actual coaching experience first. Maybe in 5 years.
You would have to go to Providence first.
Yeah. Which could work. I think that guy has coaching.
Does he want to, though?
I think he has coaching DNA. Does he want to?
Can he identify talent? We need some of that in the box.
Yes. Speaking of the other series, Nick also points out Igor Shesterkin equals wagon. He has been lights out. Talk about a find for, the Rangers. You go from Lundqvist, and, he was the guy there for so long, King Henrik, and are kind of able to, not seamlessly, but you pretty much, you got another guy. You're going to be set there again for, 10, 12 years at goaltender?
Yeah. He's probably going to win the Vezina as well this year.
Yeah, he's just been unreal. And they are up 2-1. In that series. Tampa Bay swept Florida, which I didn't see coming, and then trails this series 2-1. How do you
They're
see?
winning tonight, though.
How do you see? How do you see the rest of this series playing out?
I think it probably goes 6 or 7. To be honest with you, the Rangers were absolutely ridiculous at home, and then they kind of were in it to the end, and then with I don't even know how much time was left, under a minute. Tampa Bay stole one in game 3. So a bounce of a puck in these games, it's so close. I would guess it probably
42
goes 6 or 7.
seconds. 42 seconds left.
That's killer if you're the Rangers, because you were in that game all the way through in Tampa. But ultimately they do have home ice. So, and they've played really well at home throughout. I don't know if they've even lost a game there. They haven't in the last 2 series now. They're probably 5-0 in their last 5. So I like the Rangers, I hope, but Tampa Bay is still so loaded. It's just ridiculous. This team's going to go to a 3rd straight Cup final.
Yeah, I agree. They'll probably win at home tonight. And I do think it's a series that will go 7. And we'll see, does the pressure mount on Shesterkin? That's what'll be the key. In a series like that against the defending champion Lightning.
2-time defending champion Lightning.
Don't make me say it. And we'll talk about them versus the Avs. We'll just admit it. We'll talk about the Lightning versus the Avs when we get there.
I don't know. The Lightning got to beat New York on their home ice, though. Somebody's got to beat them on their home ice.
Yeah, we'll see.
Call them the Carolina Hurricanes.
So... that is going to do it for us here tonight, folks. Thanks to everybody who tuned in and listened live. We are live every Monday or Tuesday. Stick to our social media for the links and the updates on which night we'll be broadcasting to you. I think we'll agree here, Christian. We'll do Tuesday next week, seeing as how we'll get Game 5 of the NBA Finals out of the way first.
We'll recap the NBA Finals and what a disappointment it was.
Now we're going to talk about how the Celtics won because they swept at home, and then they took Game 5 in the new Oracle. That's what we'll discuss.
Yep.
Yeah. So I just have to counterbalance your negativity, man. I don't think that's going to happen, but I have to put it out there. Somebody has to push back.
You live in fantasy land. I'm being realistic.
I have to. It's the equation balancing itself, Christian. I come to meet you. I am the Neo to your Agent Smith. You just think losing's inevitable.
It is. It usually is.
So that's going to do it for us here. If you missed the show live, you can rewatch it on any of our platforms, or you can take us to go as a podcast through Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcasts from. That'll do it, folks. I'm Andy Pizzelli. He's Christian Lauber. Have a good night, everybody.
See you later.